I'm feeling like my old self again. Renewed, recharged, refocused, with nothing to stop me from being me.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Crypto Plebs channel. It's your boy Jumpman. Crypto, what is up, my friends? What's up? What's up? We'll let everybody slide in here. So I was supposed to do a live on Sunday, guys. Got a little busy with the family, and you guys know ain't much going on. So I figured, hey, let's just let the markets do what they do, and you know, we'll see what's up. Anyways, we'll let some people slide in here. We got, about 8 people in here right now. You guys can hit the comment section. Please make sure you share, like, and comment on the stream. I don't know if YouTube's messing with me right now, but all that would really help me out a lot. So I think we had, some job data today. I think we came in a little hot, 4.6, if I'm not mistaken. And then Thursday we have CPI, so that's going to be the big one. And I think we're forecasted to come in around 3.1 if I'm not mistaken. So going to be some interesting times. And then Friday we have, the Bank of Japan supposedly raising rates, 75 BPS. So these are going to be things that are, maybe will take us down to that 70K, but we got to wait and see. The one thing that I can say about the markets, guys, is that when we all are in agreement that we're going to go down, typically the markets do the opposite of what normies think. And so, look, I think it's just best right now that we kind of just wait and see what happens. I can tell you just from experience that the market has a good way of tricking us all. So I think, pretty much everybody's super bearish, and rightfully so. But eventually we're going to reverse so fast and quickly that people are going to get caught off guard. I think people are going to be thinking that, once we hit 70K, then we're going to 60K, and then we're going to 50K, and then we're going to 30K, and then we're going to 20K, and then the 10Kers will come back out. So, it's definitely going to be a fun roller coaster ride for everybody. So if you guys are down with it, I'm going to be with you guys until the very end. So, at the end of the day, we just got to be patient and let the markets do what they do. Julia says, I advise. I have 1K in parcels down 600, but it's money at the moment I don't need. I can let it all until my money gets back when crypto gets better. Well, man, right now, Julius, all these low caps, man, kind of dangerous. In my personal opinion, I feel like, it's underneath that October 10th liquidation wick, so that's obviously not a good sign. I recommend, you have to do what's best for you. And, if you're asking for some advice, of course, I'll give you some advice. I would personally probably maybe look for the next pump and de-risk a little bit. And then wait to buy back lower. And then just try to swing your bags until you can kind of meet yourself back up, to where you were. Definitely, it's not great, but I've seen worse. But one thing that we have to kind of all do together is we have to protect our capital, make sure that we're taking care of our money, and not letting ourselves go down more than 10%. At the end of the day, if this is what we would consider a bear market, we can still go down 30 to 40% easy from where we are. So, I think that we just got to be a little cautious of what we're buying, when we're buying. So if you said, like you said, you don't need the money right now, I'd encourage you just to, maybe follow that approach, or you could DCA. You said you're down 600, maybe put 100 in, and just, wait and see. So once we maybe do come back up, it's not so much for, for you to try to break even or something like that. Okay. But yeah, man, I get you, bro. It's something that, I've been dealing with myself. I have a few things that I'm down 20-30% on, and hey, it is what it is. If we're looking for 300%, 200%, we can't complain about the 20, 30, 40%. You know what I mean? We got to go with the flow. You know what I'm saying? Arthur podcast, or what does it say? Arthur DCA. What up, my dude? How's everything going, guys? Did you scoop up those Jordan 11s, Arthur? I know you, boy. I think I got them for Christmas, man. I was kind of peeking through my gifts and stuff like that, so I think I got them. I hope I got them. I think my family came through for me, so let's see what's up. I think I was pretty good for Christmas this year, so hopefully, my family came through again. Han Solo, what's up, my dude? What's up, my guy? Lisa, what's up, Lisa? How are you doing? How's everything going over there on your side on the stock section? We're getting beat up over here in crypto, but it's all good. It's all long term. We have to kind of look at our assets and talk to ourselves and say, hey, man, are we on for short term games, or are we on it for the long term? So, right now, crypto is obviously not doing well, but it is what it is. Like I said, I think right now what I'm doing is I'm just trying to spread a little bit of my time out between, my family, God, of course. Then I'm trying to get back into health, you know what I mean? Getting back onto the, going back to the gym. I haven't been going lately and gotten a little, lost all my gains. But, I'm trying to get some type of, some type of blueprint for my life. And it's going to take a little bit of time. But, at the end of the day, it's just, it's going to take some time. But, yeah, so crypto sucks right now, but it is what it is. Chava says, getting my blank handed in these coins. I'm sorry about that, Chava. I told you, man, 1025, you got to get out of crypto, man. Get out of some altcoins. Jump, I got 5,000 to invest. What would you suggest for me to buy? Man, look, honestly, bro, I would try to hold on to that money as much as possible. I know buying the dip is one of my favorite things to do, but I still think that it's best to treat that money like it's your last $5,000. So, first off, I think you should, thank the Lord that you have 5K to invest. And then also what I would do, I would start getting a blueprint, which we're going to, do today right now. We're going to go through some coins. And then, like I said, I would recommend for anybody around 5K, to keep it between 3 to 5 coins. You want to make sure you got a good spread between, layer ones. Make sure you got some type of blue chip altcoin like, Ethereum, XRP. You can go with Bitcoin, but just remember, it's going to be a little bit of a muted gain. You might get maybe 40, 50% on it. So if you're just looking to, make some cash, you're not really concerned with trying to triple or quadruple your money, then you can go that route. So we'll cover some coins, of course, and then like I said, we'll talk about, implementing, a good DCA strategy. These are things that I've worked on with some of the people that are in the Dean's List and KGU, but I'm going to, I'll share some game with people that watch with me now. The thing is that what you want to do is you want to buy on red days. Yesterday was a perfect day to buy some altcoins, but the thing is that what I see a lot of people do is that they ape in and they go all in on crypto, and we have to understand when is the time to do it and when is not the time to do it. So right now we're underneath, a lot of the, weekly moving averages on Bitcoin, and even a lot of these altcoins are just, they're back at where they were in 2022. So, we don't want to full port anything. So let's say you have 5Gs, what I would do is I'd probably maybe take a 5% position in something and start slow, and then, steadily DCA. Don't worry about timing the bottom. I don't think whatever it is that we're going through right now, it's going to end anytime soon. I think we'll likely finish out the month of December in the red, and then maybe partially January in the red as well. And then sometime between, February, March, April, we should see some type of life back in the markets. That by then we'll have, a clear idea of who's going to be the next Fed chairman. I think we have Kevin Warsh or Kevin Hassett. We should have, I guess, some type of idea with tariffs, with the Supreme government. Are they going to deem tariffs legal or not legal? And, I don't think that this is going to be a bear market, guys, like how it was in 2022. Now, granted, I am surprised on, the severity of how much altcoins have gone down. But, that liquidation that happened, it caused a black swan event that, a lot of people didn't see happen. So, Trump's been talking about tariffs all year. So it's, something that we all were kind of familiar with. But, he threatened China with tariffs many times. But the severity of what happened on October 10th was, a lot of market makers lost money. I think we're all familiar with the auto deleverage that happened with Binance and Wintermute. And this caused a major cascade with, people losing, hundreds and billions of dollars. So, it's obviously dried up a lot of liquidity that's in the markets. And maybe this was all done part of the plan, I don't know. But at the end of the day, this is going to take some time. So, I don't think anybody could have had a forecast that this was going to happen. I think we all knew that leverage was always the main culprit of what was happening in the markets. But, to this magnitude, I wouldn't have never guessed. We have AVAX, I think we touched, at 1190 this morning. And I was just thinking to myself, man, this is crazy. These coins are behaving as if the SEC is going after them again, and they're being, potentially delisted from Coinbase and stuff like that. So it's a little crazy, to think about it. But if you really start really thinking about it, a lot of these coins are into treasuries. These treasuries are underwater. There's liquidity issues. And also too, I was even thinking about AVAX. I'm a big AVAX bull, but let's not lie. Anthony Scaramucci is not a popular person, especially within this political realm with Trump and stuff like that. So, I could see how, this could cause issues politically, with other people that are not fond of one another. And if you guys didn't know, Anthony Scaramucci has a treasury company with AVAX. So a lot of these things can factor into problems with the typical, the coins that we're invested in. So, it's just going to be one of those things where we're going to have to kind of see it through. Is AVAX going to be going anywhere? I don't think so, guys. They have a big, massive treasury. So, I think that, it's just going to take some time. 2026, we'll see what happens. If we're not pumping by then I'm going to have to come stay with one of you guys, because I think my old lady's going to throw me out. But we'll see what's up, guys. Just a joke. Okay, so we got some people up in here now. C-Dub, Han Solo, Steven Ortiz. Let's get into it. All right, so right now we're looking inside the Discord. I don't think we want to be looking in there, right? Let's see. So I was sharing with some of you guys today. We were talking about how this is Ethereum's monthly returns. Okay, so through the year of 2025, we've had a red January, red February, red March, red April, red June, red September, red October, red November, and red December. That's pretty crazy. I think down here in 2018 we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The same thing back in 2018, and this was something that like I've talked to you guys in the Discord about a lot. That this cycle is mimicking the kind of like the 2018 2019 area a lot, because if you guys see, like, we started going red all the way in September, but notably more in November. And right here in 2019, had a pretty good red November and December. But in 2020, we had a green January and February. So, I'm thinking, and this is just a guess, okay? We're gonna, guess here. I'm still on board, like I said, thinking that January will probably be red as well. But somewhere between March, maybe even the late February, we'll begin to reverse. And we should see a bullish June, July, August, if everything goes good. Because remember, we have midterms back in October, November. And then from there, we can potentially start the bear market. And then, 2027 will probably be, hopefully, it's kind of crazy because, like it's kind of, I guess it's like almost the stage is set for there to be a change in government, because it's I don't see how the Republicans are going to pull this off. If they do, then kudos to them, but the markets are just super red. And also too, like, I've even thought about this as well. I mean, what if 2025 we've been in a whole bear market the whole way through? I mean, this could obviously show you that, look, I mean, we've had 9 red months and only 3 green months. So maybe we've been in a bear market this whole year. So, with the amount of adoption that we've had, and money pouring into this asset, there has not been much to show to say that, hey, we've been in a bull market. I mean, like I said, in May and July, there were 40%, ends of the month of gains, but I mean, there's nothing really concrete showing that, hey, that we've been in a bull market. So, and then again, guys, we look at altcoins, I think altcoins would probably be even worse. So, yeah, that's something that we should all, maybe consider. And, we'll see what happens. All right. All right, so let's hit some charts real quick, guys. If you guys got some recommendations, you guys already know what the deal is. You guys can send that inside the chat, and we'll cover it, when I get to it. Okay, so right now we're checking out Ethereum. I was looking at, on the medium, smaller time frames. Looks like we got somewhat of a head and shoulders trying to form here. I was really excited, when I made a YouTube video over the weekend. We were looking at Market Cipher B. We printed a green dot. So those usually serve at the greatest times to buy, when we get these green dots on the weekly. But if we go back over here, back in 2023, September, around that time frame, we had the exact same thing that happened as well. We got that red dot, and we end up coming down, I think, another 10%. Let me check real quick. Yeah, we came down 17%. Somebody's hitting me on a Discord call. Knock on FOMO. Okay. So we had a red dot there. We ended up proceeding to go down 17%. And then we reconfirmed that green dot. So let's look at what 15% would be from where we are right now. So 15% would be about 2,400. Okay. So on the weekly, we look like we got about a good support right here at this 2,700. I've told you guys, a few times that, right now that's the level that I'm looking for, as far as like if we breach it, then that's where we'll start setting some orders down here at 2200, 2100. I believe that if we do go into a bear market, we should be looking anywhere between $19 to $2,100 Ethereum, which is kind of crazy because we went back to prior bear markets. We were looking at 700. And even if you want to count what happened in April, March this year was $1,500. So, look, that's still pretty low. But like I said, at the end of the day, 2000 compared to where we were back in, 2022, 2023, it's not that bad in my opinion. So, this is about close to 1200, $800 around there in that time. And then we came down here in 2022, we were at 1100. This was when all that stuff was going down with FTX. And then, we had the SEC going after all the crypto companies. So, that's about what, 60% down from where we are. Yeah, about 60%. So definitely could happen. But, I'm still under the impression that, this is where the bear low would be for Ethereum. Okay. As far as price targets, again, guys, I'm still going to be really firm on this 5,200 to 5,500. I see a lot of people saying 60K, that's crazy. I don't think that's possible. 6K, 7K, maybe, but I'm more just looking for that 5,000. I'm very complicit and very conservative with, entries and places to get out. So, one thing that I've learned in crypto, guys, is that, price targets are like buttholes. Everybody got some, everybody's going to say, oh man, this coin's going this coin. My favorite coin's going here. And at the end of the day, guys, like I told you in my last video, you want to use, preferably I like to use Market Cipher B, but you can use whatever you like that helps you. But you want to use the weekly and you want to sell in these red dots. When you start seeing, momentum starting to curve to the downside, this is telling you like, hey, we're getting ready to go on that roller coaster dungeon drop, the Superman roller coaster. So, we don't want to take chances with our finances. Once these red dots appear, it doesn't always mean that for sure, that we're going to, dump. But through history, if you go back and you look at it, every time that the red dot has printed, they serve as topping signals. So we got one right here again. Like I said, we had the green one, but I also went back and said that, hey, look, I was still expecting 2,400. I was still expecting, more downside. So, like I said, I've been buying ETH, but I'm more interested, seeing how much lower I can get it. So I have a good stash reserve. We're buying the dip, but we're being very cautious when we're buying. We're not going all in. Like I said, there's a lot of coins that are at great prices. Avalanche, $12, but I still feel like we can come down more. So just be careful, okay? So that's Ethereum. Let's cover XRP real quick. I know that's everybody's favorite cryptocurrency, and rightfully so. But as we talked about, guys, it's headed down to, this 124, okay? It seems like, like I've said in a lot of my live streams, we talked about where it wicks, it sticks, and that's where it's headed. And there's no really no ifs, ands, and buts about it. We're looking on Market Cipher on the 1 hour and 2 hour. Yes, we are super oversold, momentum thick to the downside, but we still have a lot of stuff that we have to kind of hurdle out through, the month of January and even February. So I wouldn't be surprised if we come back down, to 165, which is almost automatic. But for right now, if you guys have pen and papers, we need to write down, this line right here that we had on previous bounces. So this is a 185. Okay. So we keep down that 185 level. We breach it. Then we should start preparing for 165 on its liberation low that happened back in June and March. Okay. So that's where we came down over here. And that's where we first gave out our first buy alert, Keenan and I, at that level. I think Keenan's level is a little bit better than mine's, but I was looking at around 167. I think he called out 160 if I'm not mistaken. But this liquidity wick, though, like I said, I know that they're trying to get us close as possible to that. So, for right now, I'm looking anywhere between, 125, 150 right now. Yeah, Nansbag says where it wicks, it sticks. You're right, man. So, like I said, that's going to be your best game plan, man. It's like I said, I've told you guys a lot of times, my main goal is for people not necessarily not to need me, but I want everybody to know, like, hey, the game plan. That way, you guys aren't feeling left out here watching content creators constantly, feeling like you have to have, them tell you where we're going, because at the end of the day, they don't know either. I could see a lot of the best, man. They're just kind of a lot, they're as clueless as me, so it's just something that, I can tell you guys that we're going to have to go through this. If you believe in crypto, if you believe in that, that this is going to be the next best thing, man, you got to go through it. And, like I said, I encourage you guys, like I said, man, to just stick around for a little bit and see this through. And I always want to tell you guys, like, hey, look, we talked about that this was a bear market for the longest time. So, I don't want things to be like a surprise to people. So, it is what it is. Okay, let's hit Bitcoin real quick, because you know what? Look, Bitcoin is going to be obviously the one that's going to be pretty much telling us the telltale of what's going to happen. So, let's look on the weekly. Now, we do have that green dot here on the weekly, okay? We have that support line right here at 80,837. This is the level that I'm still watching out for. And this is target right here at 55K. Okay, now, if we break down here, I'm not saying we're going there. We have a lot of support right here at this 69K, 70K. That's, in my opinion, where I believe that we're going. I know Catching Rockets says that we're going to 64K. 70K, 64K, it's all the same to me. But like I said, right now, I got that 81K on my watch list. If we break below there, then yeah, we're going to be in some deep trouble. But for right now, we've been pretty much holding pretty strong right here around this 85K. We've already had a few bounces from there. So it's showing me that, hey, look, we have a chance. I'm not saying that, that we're out of the woods just yet, but we have a chance. Okay? So let's keep that on the radar. Now, let's check out Morpho real quick. I see some people messaging about Morpho. Okay, so 112. Let's see. So we had a nice little bounce up from 109. And again, guys, remember, I talked to you about this, guys, a couple days ago. Okay, I literally sent out a message. Man, I need to pull this up real quick. Let's see. Let's head into my channel real quick. Where are we at? I got too much crap in here. This is what sucks, man. I post a lot of shit, so I'm gonna have to find it. And this is like literally within a few days. Let's see. I don't know. Anyways, oh yeah, right here. So I was saying that Morpho had really great support levels at that 108. Okay, and that's where we literally touched down to 108.08. Now, I kind of want to take a little bit of a victory lap there, because, I'm not the best technical analysis. I'm not saying I'm a chart god or anything like that, but I do like to trade off support and resistance. And then what I do is I look back from prior and I look for good bounce zones, and that's where I saw it. So we got a good bounce there. That's good. That tells me that there's some strength there. We have money flowing into the shorter time frames. And remember, guys, I've told you guys about this a lot. It's that, when you see stuff like this, when you see altcoins that are DeFi lending, that are letting people borrow against their crypto to buy the dip, this can be bullish, it can be bearish. But, like I said, people are going to be using Morpho. And I can promise you that this coin will come back. I'm not saying that, hey, this is going to go to $100 or anything like that, but I think that if we kind of wait and we see how this thing plays out, I wouldn't be surprised if we see $5 back on the cards. Okay. So again, the level that we have on, was 108, and then it's going to be 82 cents after that. Okay. So that's what I've been watching right now. So this was something that we had back here in June, and then back here at Liberation Day, April, we went down to 80 cents. Okay. So those are the two levels that I'm watching right now. So if you guys want a good entry for, in my opinion, a good second option to AVE, I would definitely keep that on the radar. Okay. And please, guys, get a pen and paper, write all this stuff down, man. I'm not out here just, telling you guys to buy shit. Like, I'm trying to tell you guys, like, hey, write levels down and look up stuff. And remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just, a regular dude on YouTube. Okay. So remember that. I know that I look smart and stuff like that because of the glasses, man, but I can promise you I'm not. I am, but I'm not. All right, so AVE. This is AVE, guys. I bought AVE at $45 in 2023. I did really well on this one. This was the coin that I did really good on. I got almost, I think, a 5-6x on it. And here we are again. Okay, so where Wix it sticks, $80. Okay, so that's where I think that if, hey, we have this full-fledged bear market, that's where we may be going. Okay, so AVE, if you're looking for the best of the best, if you're looking for a coin that's just the head of the game, this is the one that the Trumps are using, with their World Liberty Fi token. And this is going to be a level that I think that you guys should probably put on the radar. So it's going to be 152, so $152. Okay, we had a prior high at 387, and last year we had 400. Okay, so I'm not saying that we're going to go back to that level, but the closer we can get down here to like maybe 113 as well. April, our liberation low was 115. I think that 150 to 115 area would be a great area to accumulate AVE. Okay, so once we get there, let's say we go back down to where we were in April, 115. I would be looking for somewhere between 280 to maybe 260 for an exit. So that would give you almost a clean 100% return. Okay. Let's check out Aerodrome real quick. Aerodrome is another coin that it's inflationary. And when we're in bearish market conditions, this thing is going to get smashed really bad. Okay, so back in April, we came down here to 27 cents. That's one coin that we called out. We got up to 160. We had two prior highs at $2.40, and then we had two right here at 2.30. So we did really well on it. But right now, obviously, we're coming back down. So our support's going to be at 48 cents. And then we have one right here at 36 cents. And then we got our prior low at around 20 cents. Okay, we go back down, to super bearish market conditions. We could see possibly a 10 cents, in my opinion. I don't think so. For right now, like I said, we're going to stick with that 30 cents, around that 30 to 38 cent zone, okay, which is not too far from where we are now. So let's say we get in at that level around 30 cents, 38 cents. Where should we be looking to TP at? So I'd be looking to probably go back up to maybe prior resistance. I mean, maybe we can hit up maybe to $1 and maybe even 90 cents. So that would be about 142% return for us. And that would be, in my opinion, a great time to exit, okay? Like I said, again, this thing could go up more. Obviously, Aerodrome is going to be, adding Ethereum to its mainnet. They're going to be processing more transactions and stuff like that. But I'm just not sold that retail's here yet, guys. Like I said, you got to think about it. Even now with more Christmas now, people are broke. People don't have money right now. And this is not something that's going to be solved like right now. It's going to take some time. So I'm convinced that maybe later on, 2026, maybe 2027, the markets will reverse and then we'll have that all-time high. But unless we get stimulus, or some type of checks being issued out, I think that, this is just being conservative is the way to go. And I mean that in crypto. All right, let's see. Let's hit AVAX real quick. Worst case, in my opinion, is around $1.40, 144 on XRP. That doesn't mean it can't go to $1. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that it could go to 30 cents P. I mean, yeah, I don't personally see that, but we shall see. Okay, so we have Avalanche here. We're seeing lows back here in 2023. So we had a bounce this morning where we were in 2023. So we are literally going back in time here with these altcoins. So, if you bought, back here in November 2023 and you've been holding for 2 years straight and you've made no money. So not good. But, like I said, we're looking at this through an investing, lens. Right now in October 2023, we went down to $8.64. When we had our October 8th dump, we came exactly down to $8.59. So we went almost exactly to where we were back at this October level. So this is about 30% down from there. Okay, now I don't think. Let me rephrase this. I think it's unlikely that we will go down to $8. So what I'm starting to do now is I'm setting orders in between $11 and $10.50 and staggering those in there. So this is about 15%, okay, which is in crypto land nothing. Okay, so we previously were up here in $36 and now we're at $12. So let's say you drop some big money in here in this $10 zone, and we get back up here to that $36, which in my opinion should be really easy for Avalanche to do. That's a 200% return. So, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Avalanche was not my best call. It's been very, very, very underperforming asset for me, but I'm gonna see this one through, man. I still feel like, in my opinion, that this is gonna be a play that is gonna have to take some time to cook. Look at all the people that were holding Zcash and everything like that, man. I mean, these guys held that for a long time. I mean, look at even some of the XRP holders that were holding back in 2018. I mean, they held for 8 years. So, I think that, look, this is obviously what I've talked about a lot in my channels is that all these altcoins, you just see a history of declining, So it wasn't surprising that, that this happened again. So let's just say hypothetically that, let's say, hey, you buy in right here at $8 and we go to, 27. Okay, that's a 3x still, okay? So, like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, it's still would fall in line with, depreciating asset. So let's see what happens, man. Like I said, at the end of the day, I got those levels marked on. I'm looking to see if I can get closer to that $10 to $9 zone. Once we hit that zone, man, I'm going to drop a lot of money in there and see if I can get back up to at least 23 to 28 bucks. And then that should give me that 3x that I'm looking for. And then get out. Let's cover Say. And like I said, man, I'm still bullish on AVAX, man. I mean, they got a lot of stuff going on for them. I mean, they're getting tokenization. Japan is tokenizing assets there. They got the ETFs and stuff like that. And you guys remember, when Bitcoin had its ETF launch with Grayscale, and last year it didn't pump right away. Right when it went live, like it just price went down. So I don't know why people are so surprised about, with altcoins. It's the same thing. All right, so check it out. Say is at 12 cents. Our October low was 7 cents. Last time we were at 7 cents was... Damn. This was like, back in... Shoot. This was back in... I don't even think it listed at 10 cents. Yeah. It hasn't even listed at 10 cents. So, yeah, man, this is down 90%. Say token, 90%. So, wow. Ouch. So let's, be careful with this one. It's obviously, got a little bit more to go. Let's see. So we got about 40% to go if we do come down that low. But, Wyoming's supposedly looking into, adding this to, their reserve. So, I still think that we have a chance to get back up here to, back where we were in October, man. I think that's where a lot of the resistance is going to be at. So that would be 160% return. Okay, so as far as like entry price for this, it's going to be a little hard for us guys because we don't have much to go off of. We're underneath where we were in June. We had April, we came down here to 13 cents, we're actually below it now. And yeah, so we're just, we're almost at price discovery to the downside. So it's just hard to get an exact number right now. So yeah, we're basically kind of trending down in price discovery would say. So not something that, it's good. We do have a green dot in the 4 hour, which is hopefully we can get a reversal back up, but not good. Let's check out Aptos real quick. Aptos is in the same situation, guys. It's at $1.60. Actually, it's actually lower than it was on October, man. Massive selling off. Look at that, man. You guys can't tell me this is not bear market, man. If we were to get back up to where we were in March, this would be 1,200% return, man. So 12x. So, I think this one might be a sleeper, man, in my opinion. This thing right here is at an all-time low. So it's crazy to see it. And Aptos is, in my opinion, I think Aptos is a good project. I mean, I always thought that, that they held up pretty well, and then it just gave everything back, down 90%. So this one, I'm actually a little, bullish on it. Not bullish on it, but I'm more wanting to take a position in it. We got Solana right now. Solana's at 127. In my personal opinion, I would be very careful. $95 is going to be its liberation low. Good support down here is at $77. So in my personal opinion, I think Solana at $77, $80 is going to be a good buy. This would be about maybe 30%, 38% from where it's at. So if you guys are looking to scoop up Solana, I'd be trying to pick up around 95 to $70, $77. That would be your best area to pick up. All right, let's see. Let's check out Cardano real quick. Cardano is another coin that's just not doing well. Look, back in 2024, we were sitting at 31 cents. We got good support there at 31 cents. Okay, we got good support there. Our liberation, I keep saying that. Our October 10th drop was around 27 cents. So likely will come down here. Our October 2023 bear market low was at 23 cents. So this is about 40% from there. So, a lot of these coins are all the same. If you haven't looked, guys, when you check out your altcoins, a lot of these coins are all the same. They all have the same kind of like layout, how they look, and they're just all been pummeled down here. So, yeah. Honestly, man, I'm not a fan of Cardano right now. That midnight token that they got, whatever, it just completely just trashed it, man. C-Dub, what's up, C-Dub? Athena looks like it might want to do some price discovery. Yeah, a lot of these layer twos, bro, they're not looking too hot, man. So yeah, I mean, we're right there. Man, this is crazy, dude. To think that we're even in this situation, man. And man, I'm not surprised, Everybody thought Trump was going to be, really great for crypto. I thought he was going to be great for crypto. And, no, not at all, man. He's been anything but great for crypto. There's some people that says, hey, man, give him some time, give him some time. And, but it's just like, dude, he campaigned on this, man. And look at this, man. All these coins are down 90%, dude. So, maybe you can argue Jerome Powell. I don't know. It's just been one of these things, man. But, a lot of these coins are down 90%. So, at the end of the day, it's like, man, they're going to go to zero or what's going to happen? So, we'll see. So, Athena, man, it's at 22 cents. Its high was back here in 2025 in January, $1.30. So this would be another 500% return. It launched back here in 2024, so it's fairly new. So it could have a chance to come back. This is just crazy, man. But with all these layer twos, bro, like, with this new Fusaka upgrade, it pretty much, you don't need the layer twos anymore. So a lot of these layer twos are like bloodsuckers, man. They just kind of leech off of Ethereum and, the gas fees. And with all the upgrades that they're doing, it's basically, you don't need it. Andreas, are you short Bitcoin? Man, right now I'm not doing too much right now, bro. I'm looking at, right now it's at 87.5. I think, honestly, in my opinion, I think we might move up to maybe 90K. If we get some good data, and then from there, I'd be shorting from there. You already know what we turn into the best teacher. Miles said, what's up, Jumpman? I just joined. What coins did you go over already? Just the usual, man. We covered XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, AVAX, Cardano, pretty much everything, the stuff that we always talk about. I'm going to hit HBAR real quick. Let's see. HBAR, 11 cents. So we got support right here. We've already lost support. Okay, we've came down here already. Next line of support is going to be at 8 cents. Okay. And then we have obviously a little bit more down here in this 4 cent region. Okay. That's where I initially bought at. So this is about 60% to go. We were here back in July. We were sitting at 30 cents. We're down 60% from there. January 2025. We are 70% down. So I don't know, man. Just from a chart, just looking at charts, and you not even being a TA guy, I mean, you can just literally see from January to December, we've been in the bear market. I mean, there's just no denying it, man. And I've said this, and people have gone in after me. I've had this one YouTuber that he's retired now because it's just more easier for somebody to cower away and not admit that, hey, you were wrong. But and it's not even about being wrong or right, dude. It's just looking at the damn charts and seeing, like, look, we've been in an obvious downtrend since Trump took office. So he has not been bullish on crypto at all. I mean, look at it. From January, from when he got sworn in, it's been down. So, I mean, that's a bear market, my friends. Patriot says, it's nice to catch you on my lunch break. What are you eating, bro? Han Solo said, Morpho, AVAX, Say, BTC, ETH, XRP, ADA, Aptos, and Solana. My man. Drift says, "Hey Jump, can you go over Chainlink, please? If you haven't, I have not, and I will, my friend, for you." So yeah, man, that H bar, like I said, man, they still got some stuff going on. I mean, if we can, bro, I mean, if you guys have cash, if you guys have cash, you're Gucci, man. Like I said, the problem is a lot of people don't, and the problem is that, a lot of people were buying in here. They were buying in here, and they didn't take profits, or they didn't do, I mean, I set you guys up a lot, in this area. And the problem is that, I think a lot of times when we start hitting up in these areas, people didn't start paying attention to me till about right here. And from there, that's just been a cascade of down. But, if you guys go back and really look at me, like when I first started my channel, like this was like prime Jumpman right here. And, now, obviously we've had that cascade down slope, and this is where we are now. My views are down so much, and, people are just completely capitulated right here at this zone, where I think that should be the opposite, man. You should be really happy, that we're here now, because now you get to be on that same level playing field that everybody else was over here, if not lower. So, I mean, you have the opportunity to really make some good money. So I recommend people, like, please, like, Uber, do what you got to do to make some cash, sell your blood, or sell your semen. I'm just playing. Whatever you got to do to, like, make cash, man. Like, it's I don't think crypto's done. Crypto was done over here. Crypto was done over here. It was done over here. Every time, guys, like, we've had points of where we went down, it was always done. We over here, check influencers, it's done, and then we end up coming back. So it's just a shitty part of the cycle, man. Where a lot of people got fooled. We all got kind of duped that Trump was going to be the next best thing for crypto, but it was just a pander, man. And but one thing that I can tell you about crypto is that crypto doesn't need politicians. It doesn't need Trump. And eventually the markets will rebound, and we'll go back on this, and we'll laugh about it. Okay? I don't like talking too much politics on here because I know it's a taboo. And I don't want to make anybody upset. It's just my opinion. So if I'm, pissing you off or whatever, just know that it's all love and respect. Okay, guys? And Miles said, we're getting cells. Yes, we're getting cells. We're getting those Burlington Coat Factory cells that we've all been waiting for. This is, look, Santa didn't give you, a green portfolio, but he gave you a red candlestick that's going to give you opportunities to buy something that potentially could be green, maybe next Christmas. I don't know, but Chainlink has been really disappointing as well. Look, back to August 2024, we were at $8. Okay, we bounced right off that. Okay, so our next support lines are going to be right here around $5. So this is where we were back in 2023. So we head into a bear market. This is where we could be looking at, $5 to $6. But I would actually start showing some interest down here, maybe around $10.34. I think I put that in the channel in the KGU. This is exactly where I'm looking at. And the reason being is because look at all this, look at all these price bounces that we had here. We had a lot here in 2024. We had one in 2025. We came down here to $10. So, I'd be likely to add more there. We come back up there. We maybe move back up here to 25. That'd be a nice little 2x. Not the most sexy trade for us, but it is what it is. All right. We need Ollie bargain outlet prices. Yeah, we need Dollar General prices, man. I mean, I argue we're already there. Let's check out Pith real quick. Pith is another one that's been kind of just, look at that, man. 6 cents. Man, they rugged this thing so bad, dude. $1.16, man. Jesus Christ. Down 95%, dude. Damn. This was an oracle that was potentially going to be used for price data with the government. Look at that, man. Buy the news, sell the rumor or whatever, man. And not really even buy the news, man. It was like basically just sell the news on this. Like, and I don't even think it was a rumor. They just said, hey, the government's going to be using Chainlink and Pith for Oracle data. And this was right here around that time. Went down to 25 cents. I was screaming to everybody in KGU to sell, 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 sell. And I hope to God you guys sold, man. Because if not, you guys are, woo. You guys are on that slope. But yeah, a liberation low right here at 4 cents. So maybe this might be one of those kind of projects where you buy $1,000 worth, not financial advice, and just set it and forget it, man. Don't look at it, buy $1,000 worth and maybe come back in 6 months and maybe you'll have $10,000 and you can tip your boy Jumpman $10 or whatever. All right, let's see. I was thinking about taking a trade, man, but I'm going to save it for tomorrow. I may take a long right here. I want to see if we come back down here. This is another chart that I posted up here in the KGU. I said that we would probably come down here to this level. We hit it exactly on the money. Let me see. Maybe I'll take something around here in this area, 86,400. Let's see. I may go short. So if we go short, I'll be looking for these two areas right here. I'll definitely be looking right here at 89,800 and checking out this level right here at 88,200. So those are two areas of resistance that I know for sure that, are going to be some troublesome for Bitcoin to clear. So you guys are welcome to, write those down and let's see what happens. But I really prefer just to wait till tomorrow. We have our live stream tomorrow on the KGU, so we'll see what happens. Peter says, until the government stop producing data. I know, right? Hey, that could be a thing, right, man? I didn't think about that. All right. So money flow to the downside. Yeah, so we might get a little bounce right here. I wouldn't be surprised if we came down here, maybe, like I said, again to 90K. Remember, we got Fed Waller, I think, talking tomorrow. A few other Fed chairmen, and then Thursday is going to be our big day. It's going to be CPI, so keep that on the radar. Let's cover Ondo real quick, and then we're going to wrap it up, guys. Kind of surprised we had 20 people in here. So Ondo's at 41 cents. Now this is one, guys, that I know a lot of people like. Man, Ondo's been getting beat down pretty bad. October 10th, 24 cents. So we'll likely come back down there. I have cash reserves ready to buy the dip. But, remember, it's going to be Chainlink, a few other altcoins that are going to be at the helm of tokenization. And Ondo's going to be there. They got a partnership with Solana. So this is going to be really good, man. I think that, once we find this bottom, guys, I mean, this is going to be easy layup. Like Eric Trump said, Eric Trump said that we're going to have the most bullish Q4 ever. I'm not sure if he was referring to this year or 2026, but, let's just guess for him and say that maybe he was referring to 2026. But, I see Ondo, getting back to at least $1.60, maybe $1.40. I mean, hell, even $1.20 would be good. $1.20 would be at 3x, from here. So not bad. So, I'll take that. P says, I believe Aptos is one of the ones handling data too, like Pith and Link. Could be mistaken. I don't even know what Aptos is doing right now, man. Let's see what's going on next real quick. Oh, James Wynn just launched a token. Said, F it. Let's try and send this one. We're in a bear market. Let's see what he got here. Paste. Look at that pump and dump, dude. Man. Even well-known crypto people, man, they can't even pump coins. Look at that. Maybe this might be a good, maybe to buy it, see what happens. But it's crazy, man. James Wynn's a pretty influential person, man, in the crypto space, and they barely got up to 250K market cap, man. By the way, I would not buy that, but it's crazy. Let's see. Trump to address the nation tomorrow. Trump announced that he will be giving an address the nation tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern from the White House. Alrighty. Bank of Japan has confirmed it will increase interest rates to 75 BPS in 3 days. Update, Aave founder Stanley says SEC has officially closed its 4-year investigation into the Aave protocol. Alrighty, my friends. Well, we're going to wrap it up, man. We covered a lot of coins, so hopefully that will tie you guys over until tomorrow. Bitcoin's still ranging in this little purgatory that we have here. So I just recommend you guys cheer up, okay? Like I said, I get it. It sucks, but what's done is done. We can either dwell on it or we can go back and, we can make adjustments to our portfolios and make strategies that will, hopefully turn out good, later on in the long run. But, for right now, we're just dealing with this situation. And we just got to go back and just be grateful for our families or, our lives or our health, whatever. And the markets will rebound, man. So it is what it is. Guys, make sure you share this, with your friends and family. Make sure to hit the like button, please. Make sure that you guys are commenting. Help me get this out to people because I'm a newer content creator, man. It's hard for me to get, it's hard for me to get my wings out here, man. So anything that you guys do for me, I appreciate it.